Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Today I got invited to another meeting, and that's what the upcoming video is about. This time actually it's not FCA, it's Kia. I got invited to watch a presentation and ask some questions about the new Kia K5. If you don't know what the Kia K5 is, it's essentially an Optima. It's the new Optima, the successor, but they're calling it the K5. Deal with it. I prefer Optima as well. But anyway, like I said, I got to ask some questions, watch a slide, because obviously Corona, so they had to figure out some different stuff there. But anyway, I will talk to you all more after the end of the meeting, so enjoy.
We're going to do a walk around video, and then Brian, you have some slides to show, correct? Yeah, Brian's going to have some slides that kind of will explain a little more of in depth, and I think you're seeing slides right from KMC, so you're seeing right behind the curtain today. Very special. And then Brian is the guru. If you can stump Brian, he'll send you and your family tickets for Disney, which you can't use, but you can't stump Brian on the K5, so don't even try. All right, so let me check the meeting room, the waiting room. Nobody in there. Let me share my screen, and I'm going to play you the video.
Alrighty everyone, so here is the K5 meeting. I'm hoping that you can see me, and I muted myself, so here we go.
Hello there, I am James Bell, Kia's Director of Corporate Communications, and never thought I'd say this, welcome to my home.
No one thought that
we're
would
not
happen.
shooting a TikTok video here, you gotta turn the camera.
Here we go.
TikTok's for
Thanks,
scrubs.
And
I am one. I am a scrub.
I think we're all getting the job done and really appreciate all the good work we're seeing from you guys as well. Now, this K5 program is going to be a little bit different. While we obviously miss spending time with you, eating great food, having even better laughs in different parts of the country, I gotta admit, I think I could get used to having a car delivered right to my driveway. Nothing wrong with that, especially when it's the new K5. Now, you already saw in the announcement that we've already shown you the 2.5 liter GT and the GT line all-wheel drive. So today, it's the 1.6 turbo, the GT line with front-wheel drive, but because we love you, we're also going to get into your hands and into your driveway the EX model.
Except
so
for
again,
me.
From my driveway to yours, how great is this? This is the Kia K5.
What's interesting here is that it's in the cobalt blue that we've been seeing in the press fleet a lot.
Good, but maybe next time don't do that thing with your face.
But again, I'm on TikTok as well, so I'm a scrub as well. I'm just self-aware that I'm a scrub.
Let's look at this thing right here, this K5.
That looks way better in the flesh.
It really helps kind of define, I think, what the character of the car is and how we see it, and we hope
It's very
you
sporty.
see it the same
Very
way.
sporty
And one of
face.
the great elements of this is right here, this 3D shark skin design.
Wait, that's what shark skin looks like?
Well, if you magnify like 125 times or something, but yeah.
Interesting.
Not just interesting,
Kinda
it's
cool.
gorgeous. And it really amplifies the attitude, the spirit here. Let's not leave out these amazing LED headlights along the sides here and this fantastic all-new look for the DRLs. It really establishes that this is the K5. When you see this coming down the road,
It's a look
you're
of
gonna know
motion to
exactly
me.
what it is. In the business today, that's sometimes hard to do. We feel like it really matches the attitude of the car. But it's the side of the car that I think really works the best. Come check this out. The K5 uses our new N3 platform, which allows a longer, lower, wider, sportier shape, but does not sacrifice anything.
Cars
on the
keep getting
interior.
bigger.
Tons of room inside there. I just
Bit
love
unfortunate
this
that,
sloping
but
kind
you also
of
get more rear
fastback
leg room,
form
so
here. It's got that
it's kind of fair.
fantastic Stinger-esque kind of Coke bottle form there. It's
Coke bottle at
athlete,
best.
a finely muscled athlete, just right.
Dude, you okay? I mean, I know you love cars, but that's getting super
I
weird.
know, baby, but you know, I can't help it. I'm a car guy. All right, so coming back to the rear of the car, there's a couple little design elements I want to make sure.
I will
you
say
notice.
though, okay,
First
that's
off
a
is that
bit
strip
bubbly,
goes
but
all along from
I
the
do
sides,
like
back along
I
the
do
front.
like the hips on
Kinda
this car. It's
draws
pretty
the whole
good.
front rear
It's not
design
really that
together,
much of a
gives it
Coke bottle, but the
cohesive
rest of
feel.
it's pretty nice.
Another thing I really like is this black applique here on the deck lid. It really stretches out, gives
Oh,
it a fast back
I thought it was a
look,
pleat.
but then there's a beautiful connection onto the available panoramic roof as well. And then back here in the taillights, a really interesting play on that heartbeat thing we talked about on the DRLs in the front. You got this little wing shape here with the available LED lights across the center. Something that's really
wing
going to be
shape, yeah.
distinctive at night. People are going to know that this is the new K5. Also special
pretty
to the
distinctive.
GT line is this really cool black spoiler here in the back. Just a nice kind of visual connection on with the panoramic roof. And
That is a massive rear
in
window. The only
these
thing that I'm
amazing
worried about is how
black
high it
18-inch
seems because
wheels
it cuts off
with
pretty high.
Pirelli P0 tires strapped around there.
Oh!
This is a mid-size sedan, folks. And we
With
got
Pirellis?
P0s
And
on board.
P0s?
This is a
Okay.
serious machine. Now let's talk
That's
a little bit more
interesting.
about the N3 platform. Now this is an advanced body, lighter, stronger, additional hot stamped parts. All adds
Okay.
up to a lower center of gravity. Combine that with the new suspension geometry and faster steering ratio, better responsiveness, more stability. This is a proper sports sedan. It's really amazing.
Hey, Dad, when's the cruise lunch?
You've got to be kidding me, Kate. I've been here for 15 minutes. I'm about to talk about the powertrain.
Oh, whatever.
I thought we had a deal.
Fine.
Well, go get ice cream after.
Kids.
That's the look of disappointment. That is the look of
The
disappointment.
GDI made it to an all-new 8-speed transmission, 180 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque.
I'm kind of impressed that it's
the first
1.6
Kia
liter and
engine
it's
to
making
offer
that much power.
continuously variable valve duration. This technology regulates valve duration according to driving conditions,
VTEC.
boosting performance at low to mid speeds and enabling better fuel efficiency. And as you
VTEC.
already know, we've got even more muscle coming under the hood later this year. A 2.5-liter turbocharged
Yeet.
GDI
That's
four-cylinder
what I'm
engine
excited for.
delivering 290 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque.
That's pretty
Paired
good for
with an
torque.
all-new 8-speed wet DCT for fast, precise gear shifts. And a
even mean?
1.6-liter
The Dodge Dart back in,
all-wheel
it's funny
drive
because back in
option. The first in the segment
2012
from
actually, I think they were also
Kia
saying that it has a
brand.
wet
Now, of course,
DCT,
this
and I have no
brand
idea
Kia,
what that
we
means.
also offer a full available suite
That blue is
of
gorgeous,
ADAS
though.
or safety functions like forward collision avoidance assist with pedestrian detection, lane following assist, and the important one, rear occupant alert.
Ooh, I need that.
Yes, you do, because otherwise we might leave this little cutie in the backseat. Enough about the backseat. Let's talk about the front. Inside, K5 has a wide horizontal dash that's clean and uncomplicated.
It seems
It
like
still
more
gives
cars are
off
going to a more
high-tech feel.
horizontal dash. I don't know if you guys have seen the
Favorite
new
design element? The driver
2020,
interface.
what is it,
The available
2022 Jeep
10
Grand
1/4
Cherokee,
inch
but even
touchscreen
that's got a,
attached
I mean,
to
it's a
the
little bit
cluster,
vertical, but the
creating a
overall dash
three-dimensional
structure is actually
effect
quite
with
horizontal.
information
And then you have the new
oriented toward the
2021
driver.
Dodge
The
Durango,
colors and
same
materials
deal,
in the cabin
horizontal.
really give it a luxurious feel. And the mix of metallic and wood effect surfaces, both of which are available, really add to the ambiance. This GT line model has combined leatherette and cloth seat trim, a black headliner
Don't
and
like
pillar
cloth,
covers,
but
and a sporty
you can
leather
probably option it to
V-shaped
get
steering
better
wheel.
materials anyway.
The
So.
EX model has leatherette seating, a leather-wrapped steering wheel, plus heated and ventilated front seats. And you want to
Yay.
know what else adds to the premium luxurious feel? It's incredibly quiet in here.
Ventilated
On
rear
top of
seats.
structural improvements to the chassis and enhancing the door glass thickness and ceiling structure, the team went all out with sound-absorbing materials. And an acoustic laminated windshield is standard on every model. So you can keep things nice and quiet, or fill the cabin with high-quality sound using the available 12-speaker Bose premium audio
Loved by
system.
Elohim.
Centerpoint technology
Blasted.
converts stereo sources into rich surround sound, while dynamic speed compensation analyzes
Ooh.
and improves sound quality
Driving
according
guides.
to driving speed. So now you know, the K5 looks high-tech, feels very premium, but what other gadgets does it have? Well, before you even get inside, it's already warmed up or cooled down thanks to the Smart Key-based remote start and climate control. The available Smart Key technology even remembers your favorite settings with personalized profiles for each driver. Seat position, mirror location, previous destinations, phone connection, it's all there for you. Improved voice recognition is also available, which obviously helps you keep your eyes on the road. And watch this. Move air to face. So refreshing. Plus, you can load up K5 with all your modern-day essentials, like this new wireless fast charger with drop-in design, making it easy to power up your phone.
So where's the door though? I want to see the door.
Bluetooth
Dang it.
connectivity, allowing the passenger to stream their own tunes. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which now offer wireless functionality. And plenty of USB ports, including 2 in the second row on the GT line model. So there you have it. You now know the ins and outs of the Kia K5 Sports Sedan. The only thing left to do is take it for a spin.
It's interesting.
Awesome.
It seems.
Let's go.
That would be me. That would be me. All drivers are fully
Slow down,
licensed.
please.
Wow.
Mom, this isn't even fast.
Your dad looks petrified.
Can you both please cut it out?
What's interesting is it seems that they're trying to market it as a sports sedan more than just being a normal sedan like they used to.
All right. Well.
It points for cuteness.
Yeah, and I was going to mute everybody, but then I so much enjoyed hearing all of the editorial comments and the groans. It was a lot of fun. And as you can see, being a ham runs in the Bell family. His daughter is right there with them. So apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So before I open it up to questions, we're going to give the screen to Brian, who's going to show you a couple of slides. I just want to make sure I can give him permission.
I just like how Joe Sage has a picture of the K5 in the background. Boy, oh, how did you get the green screen?
Okay, are you guys able to see?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. All right, well, I appreciate everybody's time today. As Neil had mentioned, I'm Brian Williams. I'm in our product planning team here at Kia. And I work on a lot of the sedans and cross-car line items, but mainly Cadenza and Optima and K5 now, as well as support for Nero and a few others, but cross-car and future technology as well. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody today, and I'm just going to run through a few things. I think most of this was in the presentation you just saw, so we'll kind of skip through some of it if it's repeat, but I want to make sure I cover some highlights for you so maybe can direct the conversation or prompt some questions today. So ultimately, with the K5, we really wanted to go with an all-new design on this car. We had our first generation, really, the kind of what we called like the TF, and that was around 2011.
Not a fan of that
It was
interior.
really to kind of strengthen Kia's
I kind of like the bar, but the rest
design,
of it,
more modern look. That actually did really well for us and kind of shook up the segment at the time as one of the more stylistic cars. So that was a really good one for us. Kind of faded into our next generation around 2016 with our kind of JF Optima. Also still kind of an emotional character, or at least still the kind of sporty look we wanted with a little more emotional character, but ultimately it was a next step for us. But I think what this kind of leads us into is really the third, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is that with the all-new Kia K5, it's kind of...
Brian, you're on mute.
Yeah. Don't know who did that. Not me.
Sorry, somebody muted everybody. Sorry. Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Okay. So ultimately, we wanted to do something with a different form on this, and we really wanted to make styling and design a big push again, like we did with our first generation.
That reminds me of an old Kia concept. I don't remember which one it was though, but it looks good. Looks great. It was the Kia wagon from what, 2015?
That was a big goal with this car, so
might have been more recent than that.
We'll talk a lot about design on it, but just some pieces of what was kind of the inspiration behind it. The more sleek, strong, athletic build is what they wanted to go with, more muscular, and ultimately just pushing sport. So kind of some of the design influences that got us to where we're at today with the all-new Kia K5. It's out in domestic market as well as ours, and sales just started at the beginning of July on the front-wheel drive versions of them, so we'll see more over the next couple months. But ultimately, you already saw James's video talking about the new front end. Front end was a big change for us on this.
No
in terms of it being, you hear the Tiger Nose grill.
It's way more emotional than even the 2015
nose,
to
this should
2019 iteration.
Ultimately, it used to just be kind of a more small grill, not really integrated. When you hear that with any Kia language in the future, the Tiger face is really moving into where the grill and the headlights are integrated, more wide and horizontal. But we really wanted to give this more of a wide stance. And another big part of it was coming down to the new lighting. I think lighting will be a big style point for the future for us, and as well
just
as
it's like a lightning rod. It's so cool.
That lighting is really a differentiator in the automotive industry today, and you see that a lot on a lot of the Kia products. But with this, we wanted to bring out kind of the heartbeat-shaped DRLs that you're seeing. Heartbeat.
That's better. That's a much better way of explaining it, but still, it's really cool.
It has white, so when you see them in this picture. But ultimately, that was a big thing, and as James had mentioned, one of the key things to recognize the car coming down the road, and I think it will stand out. We also already talked about the swooping line, so I won't go through this too much, but ultimately, they really wanted to get the Sportback look and kind of similar to Stinger.
You can kind of see the haunches near the front, and the front fender and the rear fender.
Runs the entire side.
Definitely faux Coke bottle, but it looks good. Kind of muscular.
Kind of really connect the whole silhouette. So you see that with the side profile. And then on the rear, kind of already talked about it, but we also want to continue the heartbeat shape in the DRLs, as well as the tail lights. And this shows kind of the available LED tail lights that have the full width. On some of the trims, they don't have the full width, but they still have the size.
Very much like the 2012 Dodge Star.
Ultimately, that's kind of some of the style, kind of the input, and what R&D had kind of.
I mean, it was a 2013 model year, but that's when it was unveiled.
Now we get down to like the meat of it. Realistically, we have an all-new name, and I just want to talk about that now, kind of save some questions later, and we can still talk about it, but I know this comes up a lot.
Yep.
Why the new name? Why now? What does it mean? And ultimately, the K5, as I had showed you with those first two generations, our first generation with the TF did a lot with style and character, and we had about 10 years between the two generations of the Optima.
That's
had
true.
A good put a good foothold for our brand and increased it in terms of like bold styling, and it was really one of our core vehicles for those 10 years. Ultimately, as you see with the design and what we're thinking with it is, this is all new. It's an all new platform, all new powertrain, all new design. It's such a big step forward from the previous generation.
Right in here is where you can see that faux coke bottom. You can really see right in here how pronounced the hip is right there, that haunch. I like it. I really, really do. That's a good design. Good design element.
Global name. But ultimately,
widens the car and
a big enough step
makes the middle kind of thin.
Now make the change, give it its chance to make its own chapter for our
again,
sedan segment.
Faux coke bottle. And I say faux because it's not quite pronounced enough to me to be a proper coke bottle, but it's there, and it looks good.
I wanted to give you just a high level. We're just talk about this slide really quick, but I wanted to give you some of my key points that I like about this car and what Kia feels are important about the car, maybe to prompt some conversation too. But ultimately, the design, it's all new. As James mentioned, it's longer, lower, and wider and lighter thanks to that new kind of N3 platform that's on this. That new platform will be the base for many Kia products coming out. It can be evolved, so it can be widened, stretched. It can be a number of things, but basically it can fit other platforms. But this new platform is ultimately meant to increase safety, make it lighter, and increase handling dynamics. And that's really where this new platform is going. So this is the first product to use this new N3 platform. In terms of the interior, we really wanted to go more for a driver-centric design cabin, and you'll see that if you get into one of these cars or look at the images. More of the controls are more directed towards the driver and the screens. Not that they're not ergonomic for the passenger, but we wanted that more bring back the fun of driving and kind of driver and control kind of aspect and feel. And as we already talked about the Tiger Face identity and the Heartbeat TRLs, but that's a big piece for the exterior design. Powertrain-wise, we have an all-turbo lineup now instead of a base naturally aspirated. But ultimately, we wanted to give customers the improved fuel efficiency, improved torque, and real-world driving. One thing you'll probably hear me talk about a lot today is that kind of I kept in mind when planning this is the everyday convenience for the drivers. We have the GT1 with the biggest motor and all the technology, but I also wanted to keep in mind for the customer that's the base LX and the base LXS. What do they get? And really everyday convenience and driving technology and value is what I tried to focus on for all trims. So all turbo lineup in this 1.6 turbo was a big part of that. Give customers added fuel efficiency, improved emissions, and really better torque for the real world driving, especially paired with the new 8-speed automatic transmission. I think once you drive it, you'll find it's very confident and it's in the power band a lot. So it's a fun to drive car. We also have that 290 horsepower engine that's going to be in our GT and our GT1 package later this fall. That's 290 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. Now that one's actually going to be mated with a 8-speed dual clutch transmission, and the first for us that's a wet design, basically able to handle more torque. It's one of our lightest, quickest shifting, and most power efficient for transfer transmissions, and it's built in-house. So this will be a first for Kia to have this, and you'll see this hopefully on other products, but I think that actually is one of the best parts about that car when you do get a chance to drive it. That transmission is awesome. So we're really looking forward to that. Some of the new things that to kind of focus on that we feel are really important are the everyday convenience. Wireless CarPlay and Android Auto are now going to be standard on the 8-inch head units. I mentioned that it's only on, you see some technical term, DA 2.0, but it's only on the 8-inch at started production.
I'm sorry, TA 2.0? What?
Still be a wired connection.
I'm sorry, as soon as I hear that, I think Viper, so I'm immediately confused.
Wireless CarPlay and Android Auto on the majority.
I am just instantly confused.
Over 80%. which is a first for Kia. You usually see this only on the Lux segments like BMW and a few others over the last few years where you have to plug in. This is trying to give customers that convenience of being able to just hop in the car. It's paired up with Bluetooth and with CarPlay phone projection. So that's a first. Another piece is really, might not seem significant, but it'll pair into our keys later and why we do it. The dual zone FATC. Sorry for the tech term, but basically your climate control. A lot of our competitors in this segment don't offer dual zone, and even in their lower trims, it's usually available in mid or upper, and a lot of them don't offer fully automatic, so it's all manual. Again, mid trims and upper. What we really wanted to do on this was kind of focus on all customers and give customers that dual zone for proper temperature for both passengers in the car and full automatic to try to make it more convenient. That'll actually pair into our new available Smart Key 2 that James had mentioned. And one of the cool things about that is you've seen remote start over the years on multiple cars through key fobs. That's not new, it's 10 years old. But realistically, paired with this new dual zone automatic temperature control, no matter what temp the car was left at. We parked it last night and it was 100 degrees in Vegas. You get up in the morning and it's suddenly cold. When you start the car remotely, the automatic temperature control will go to 72 automatically every time you start it with that remote start. So whether it's hot or cold, it'll bring you to the right temperature before you even get in the car for that convenience. We also have standard electronic park brake now with auto hold for that convenience at stoplights and other situations. And first for Kia was, we call it lane following assist, but basically lane centering technology. You've seen this probably on many other cars out there. I'd have to say once you get the opportunity to drive this, with my experience in other cars and engineering side, this lane following assist is probably one of the best mass market lane centering systems available, and it's standard on all cars. It's not just the kind of reactive bounce you back in. We do have that lane keep assist, but lane follow assist is really that active lane centering assist that you can activate to help you stay centered in your lane. I think you'll really enjoy it, and we think the customers will as well. All-wheel drive, I have another slide on it, so I won't go too much, but we have all-wheel drive for the first time. You'll see Kia's naming, from a marketing standpoint, they're going to be calling it all-weather drive. So just in case you see that name, it's not a misspell. All-weather drive will be a new thing that's going to be pushed out in marketing materials, but all-wheel drive available on our 2 highest volume trims for the customers. Available tech, some of the things that have done really well that we wanted to have on this car in the past, and some new ones. Panoramic sunroof is probably one of the largest in the segment, and is going to be on many of the cars as available, some is standard. We have a new drop-in wireless charger, which James had already mentioned, but ultimately it's a design with a cooling fan. It's higher wattage, so it basically charges faster, keeps the phone cool when charging, holds the phone on the charger so it doesn't shift off, which you've probably seen on other designs while you're driving and turning. So that's a really big improvement in wireless charging. Pair that with the wireless CarPlay, and you've really got yourself a package where you can just drop the phone in and go. New rear USB chargers, a couple other highway driving things I'll talk about on a few other slides. But the one big thing too with the styling I wanted to mention is that we're going to have 2 designs on the exterior, and my next slide shows that a little better. But ultimately we're going to have for the first time kind of a sport and a non-sport look at the dealership for our customers to really open up the sales for whether you're younger and you want more sporty, or maybe
that would be
you want
me.
more traditional.
That would be me.
They want anything they want. We're not trying to bucket anybody, but we wanted to give 2 looks for when customers get to the dealership for what suits their style best. And then we have some new colors. If you guys are interested, we'll talk about them, but probably not a big point. Build combinations. We have about 11 combinations that at launch over the next couple months. We'll have all-wheel drive and the 2.5 come out. But ultimately, we have our LX, our LXS, our GT line, our EX, and our GT, which is the top of the line with the 2.5 turbo. You'll see all-wheel drive options on the LXS and the GT line, and then we have some other packages off of that. So if you want to talk about packaging, we can, just so you know. The 2 designs I mentioned, and you've probably seen this before, Camry has like LE and SE. It's kind of along those lines and ways of thinking in terms of you get on the dealership lot and you have 2 ways to look at the car. Now, they're not dramatic changes, but they're kind of subtle changes on the rear with most of the changes on the front end.
See, what's interesting here is that with the GT, the sport front end,
it is a difference
this
in
character line
the
goes
lower grille and
up
the lower
into the
bumper
grill.
for the
Or, sorry,
sport
well,
and
yeah,
the
into the
GT,
grill and the headlight.
lines
This part of the
versus
bumper
LX
here, whereas on the
and
normal
EX.
one, the grill
We
continues
also see some
all the way to the
differences
beginning
on
of the
rear
heartbeat
bumpers
shape.
that you see more in person. These pictures don't really do it all justice, but there are some differences, and I just wanted to bring that up, that this is the first time that we'll have 2 looks and 2 designs on the vehicle. All-wheel drive, I won't bore you with all the technical, but to talk about it, and if you want to talk about it, it might be big in your regions. All-wheel drive is the first time we've had this on a front-wheel drive based car. This is going to come out on our LXS and our GT line, so 2 of our biggest mixed rate cars that customers will be getting into. And realistically, the only thing I wanted to bring up on this is that this is for that added safety, security, peace of mind, that the highway driving in foul weather. But even just getting to your house after the roads are plowed, you get to your driveway and it's kind of angled, that's not plowed. Well, this is why customers turn to SUVs a lot. Now, this all-wheel drive is meant to kind of help kind of subvert some of those sales to SUVs when I need that car to get up the driveway because that's not paved. This system does really well. It's actually very similar to our other cars on the Seltos and others. It just doesn't have a center locking diff, but the design is generally the same. It's very capable, and the modes, depending on the drive modes that you're driving in, will change the power. This will actually have a power or a snow mode on the drive mode as well, specific to all-wheel drive. Safety-wise, I'll just cover the highlights. We already talked about what's the lane centering. Lane following assist is going to be big for the Kia brand. It's kind of showing the evolution of where we're going with semi-automated driving and into the future, but added lane centering standard on this car. Even if you don't have smart cruise control, it'll still do lane centering. We also have, based on that, we have smart cruise control with stop and go. It's quicker and easier to use. We call it like a one touch now. It's basically you touch one button to activate instead of set your speed. You're basically cruising and it's a one touch to get it going. We have a first for Kia with navigation-based smart cruise control. You might have seen this in other cars, Porsche, Drive, Distronic from Mercedes-Benz, and others are coming out with it. But realistically, in the mass market, not too many have it. Navigation-based smart cruise control is really knowing that if a curve's coming up, a driver would naturally probably slow down a little bit to be able to handle that curve and maintain that curve and not kind of leave their lane. Well, this system with the available navigation adds navigation smart cruise to slow you down ahead of those curves to help the lane centering improve even better. Highway driving assist, you probably saw on our Telluride, that's on this car as well. That pairs with all of this and realistically knows posted speed limits to adjust you down to those posted speed limits. So I just want to impress upon you that the lane centering, driver convenience, highway driving assist is improving and is a big step for Kia in this product. Another thing I kind of wanted to impress upon you was that we've had blind spot monitor rear cross traffic. It's not new, but you're seeing on this car and other cars is that all of these systems are now becoming active. They were warnings before. Now the blind spot rear cross traffic can actually intervene by applying the brakes to help you prevent potential collisions, not just warn you. Same with the rear parking sonar. That system's also evolving to get you on certain trims to get you active rear parking. So if you're backing up for, objects, certain things, it can actually see, warn you, and intervene if necessary. Safe exit assist is new, and that's kind of paired with the blind spot. So whichever cars have blind spot monitor, safe exit assist is there, and you might have seen that on other brand or other Kia products. But ultimately, it's to kind of warn you of cars approaching before you open your door. Head units, if anybody is kind of more into the head units and technology, I just wanted to mention that what's kind of new on this and some of the big things that I like, if you have the available navigation, this is going to be our first car with connected routing. Keep it short and simple. It's like some of those third-party apps where it basically gives you more up-to-date rerouting for the most efficient routes. So this is going to more mimic what customers are familiar on their smartphone and really improve the embedded navigation experience. We also have SoundHound, and you're here SoundHound or Soundify. Ultimately, this is a new kind of push-to-talk or flexible speech command. If you use voice control in a car, you have variable results throughout the years on different products, ours included, depending on what you use it for. But this is really going to be the first for us using more natural language understanding to be able to kind of speak more common language versus keyed response or a keyed request about what's the stock, how's the weather. That kind of ties into point 3. It also is a first for us to give actual vehicle control via voice, which you don't really see much on the mass market segments, more in the Lux segments, I should say. But this is going to be a first for Kia, where you can actually turn on the air conditioning, turn on the passenger seat heater, other functions, and this list will grow over time through updates to the head units as we go and as the cars evolve. But that's a big thing to kind of keep customers' hands on the wheel, eyes on the road, be able to activate things without reaching over and looking as much. Vehicle control by voice, I think it's going to be something customers love. Map Care, first time we're offering it. It's 10 years of free updates twice a year, so that's improving the navigation experience. And you've got a new GUI or graphic user interface. It's basically a new magenta theme. So if you see that in the avian head units, why is it more magenta hued? It's just a new design. There is improvements in usability as well. I'll leave it at that for now. So I'll open up for questions. I just wanted to make sure I covered some of the highlights and maybe can prompt some other topics if you guys want. But that's it for that presentation.
Well, that was pretty thorough, Brian. I don't know that you left any room for questions. Well, see you, everybody. That was very good. I'm sure there are questions. Joe, by the way, special shout out for that background there. Right on point, Joe. Thank you. Yeah.
Let me jump in with one early question. I have to go here in a little bit. The nomenclature matches what used to be K9. I just looked, is now K900. Are you going to go digital like every other brand seems to do every 3 years in the names, or is this just a global positioning for that name?
Brian, you want to take that?
I'm sorry, for the K5?
Yeah.
Yeah, so with this, I can't speak to future products and other name changes. Those will all be evaluated kind of based on how big of a change they'll have in the future and if it's the right time and if there's a need to go. But at least for this car, this was just the right time for K5 to make the change. It was just such a big change and ultimately gives it more of a modern name and a next evolution for our midsize sedan. So for this car, it was the right time for us. All new everything, platform, body, powertrain, ready to change it and kind of give it its own name and moving forward. But yeah, the other products, they'll all be evaluated depending on it. Each manufacturer or OEM has the ability, and for us as a distributor, we can choose the names. And this just was the right for this one. Other cars, there's big changes in the future. Who knows what will happen? But there's a lot of equity in other names as well, and those will all be decided case by case.
I just wondered. I just had a Cadillac product that's now sort of a vague number, and I know other OEMs have gone to full, everything is a series of numbers.
No kidding.
And it confuses everybody. But as a brand new thing, brand new version, that makes sense. So thank you.
In Kia's language, as you probably know, but if not, it's like the Forte is a K3, the Cadenza is a K7, the K900 is a K9. I mean, it's nomenclature based on domestic market and those kind of things. So this will be the first one where we kind of adopt that for that new kind of body.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem.
I've got a question. With the door to the wireless charger, I've read that it's removable. It can be replaced later for when phones get bigger. How much bigger can you go with the design before you won't be able to make the door any bigger?
Okay, so
3
the drop.
feet. Sorry.
No worries. So the drop-in, you probably saw that you can pull that piece out, is what you're probably referring to.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the pocket for the wireless charger, on the cars that don't have it, it's just a storage pocket, and it's not as deep. When you add the available wireless charger, that pocket gets a little deeper to handle the depth of the phone. It adds that cooling fan, and ultimately we slide this kind of insert in there. That insert has a flange that kind of holds the phone right on the cooler, right on the charging coil. I've experienced it in other cars in the past where you're driving and you're turning on a freeway, and especially when I was in Jersey, it's like everything's curving and you're flowing and the phones are moving around. This piece is meant to hold it directly on the charger to stop that on and off charging, which customers don't like about wireless chargers. It's 10 watts instead of 5, so it's faster charging, which is another complaint that we're addressing, in general in the whole industry of wireless charging. So faster for the Samsungs and the Apples, which is they limit how fast you can charge. But that door piece can get pulled out. Ultimately, I don't know the measurement, the inside of there. It's around 4.5 inches or 4 inches or something like that. It's really meant to handle phones for the foreseeable future in terms of size that you can drop down there and fit and still get on the charger coil.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Say, what's the red tape across the taillights, and how much is this car?
The red tape across the taillights?
Yeah.
Okay. So you probably are referring to the LED strip going through down the center. Is that correct? Between the taillights?
I don't know. You're asking me. I see red tape, but I guess not.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Are you talking about what's on the screen right now? Or are you talking about what was in the presentation?
Yeah, what's on the screen, yeah.
That was just a concept that they had at, I believe it was about 3 months ago, some concept that Kia kind of put out. So just a future concept design. Those are supposed to be taillights.
I get it. How much is this car?
This car? This is just a concept. So there's
no, I mean, the one you showed us, how much is it?
So it starts at $23,490 for the base LX, and it can go up to $34,550 for the GT. The GT1 adds some price on top of that for some convenience pieces. So $23,490 is the base price.
Thanks.
All right, I have a question for you. With the 11 different models, can you talk a little bit about fuel efficiency and how that compares on the different ones?
Yeah, absolutely. So the fuel efficiency on this, and we actually have updated with a couple things. Let me see what I've got here really quick. Sorry. Fuel efficiency, our most fuel efficient is going to be the base LX. That LX actually has what you've probably seen in the industry as stop and start engine system. We call it the ISG. Basically intelligent stop and go for Kia names, but it's an engine stop and start. With that piece, that's the highest MPG that we have on there. That's our MPG leader. Combined is, I'll just talk about that, 32 combined on the LX. All the other cars, that's the 1.6 turbo front wheel drive. The rest of those that have 1.6 front wheel drive without the stopping or the stop and go engine system are 31. So it just goes down one. All wheel drive is 29. So you got 32 for the leader, 31 for the fronts. All-wheel drives are 29 combined. 2.5 is not available yet in terms of MPG.
Okay, and no plans for hybrids of any sort?
At this point, no. There's no plans to kind of speak about hybrids or plugins on that. Kia has, a lot of plans coming up. You saw some communications probably about Plan S and moving towards more electric vehicles or electrified vehicles in the near future. But yeah, right now for the K5, just launching with conventional turbo motors at the moment.
Yeah, just for the record, I've been stockpiling D batteries like nothing, man.
Before they get put into battery packs. Yeah.
I have a quick question while we're talking about trim levels. Can you provide a little more clarity? I know the LX and the GT line, the cars we're receiving are available now, but I would like to know specifically when the LXS and GT line all-wheel drive models and the GT are going to be available in dealers.
Yeah. I can't get, sorry, a little under the weather, so I apologize.
No
I don't have a specific date because that's subject to change with just distribution timing, but we're looking at early fall for the all-wheel drive. Expect to see that soon. Depends on allocation and all that OEM stuff, but early fall for the all-wheel drive. You'll see that soon on the LXS and the GT line, same timing. The GT and GT1 package with the 2.5, that'll be out later fall, but planned for the end of this year.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I have another question here. How much time does Kia typically spend on developing driver assistance technology, and how much time did you spend when developing lead vehicle departure alert?
Oh, good question. I love driver assistance technology. That was my background. So this is one of my favorite things and why I kind of pushed the lane centering evolution, because it is a big step. So Kia is actively working with other suppliers and partnerships to develop what I would call semi-automated driving and, more automated driving in the future. So Kia is very active in that. With this, the lead vehicle departure alert piece that you're asking, actually quite simple in this. It's using current camera, front camera is all it needs, just with new software. So realistically, that piece is kind of a fun ad for customers, meaning it doesn't cost much, if anything, uses existing hardware of the camera, and now just is seeing a car moving ahead and gives you an alert that the lead vehicle is departing. Maybe you're distracted. Maybe you're looking at a great Kia billboard on the side of the road at a stoplight or other circumstances. But ultimately, that one was pretty easy to do. And those are the evolutions. I mean, where we can add value without adding cost for the customers is where we're always looking. That's easy ads plus all the lane centering, and it's a big part of the future of Kia's kind of technology.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Brian, I've got a question. Thanks so much for the presentation. The K5 seems really exciting and really interesting, especially with its migration towards being a more sporty emphasized sedan, and considering it's grown in size so that now it somewhat overlaps the Stinger. How do you see those two customers differently?
Versus Stinger versus K5?
Right.
Yeah, so when planning the vehicle, we tried to position it where, excluding the GT1 package, when pricing's, everything on that one kind of pushes it, but we wanted to have kind of a fully loaded 2.5 car for customers that wanted the midsize sedan and the trunk space. We look at it in two ways. We wanted one to separate them from a price point, or we wanted the top GT to not encroach upon it, so to kind of give that. With the Kia Stinger being more of a large car or near premium sedan, you get that hatchback, true hatchback design, or the liftback, I should say. There'll be some other things on the car coming out, but ultimately, we wanted it for the person who wants the convenience of the four-door, the bigger space in the second row on the Optima, the K5, the bigger trunk space. That's the kind of customer we're looking at, and realistically, the powertrains will also differentiate. We do get better with this 2.5 turbo, but ultimately, the next step up has the bigger engine option. So in terms of it being the standard four-door sedan, bigger legroom, bigger or normal midsize sedan trunk space, that's kind of where we wanted to go with it. Everyday convenience to somebody who might not prioritize second row but still have it, and that's kind of where we're going.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
One more question about the application of the engine start on the key fob. That's also, everybody's pushing the teleconnectivity with the smartphone app. So what are customers not using the app as expected, or is this just an additional feature that customers really wanted to have on the key fob?
This is an additional feature. So the telematics side with what we call the UVO and the Connect and all those, you still have that available. We have that available. Actually, it's paired with our all-wheel drives because of the remote connectivity and engine starting and temperature setting and all those other things. Reasons why you might want to activate your steering wheel heater, seat heaters. So we start pairing those when you get more features in the car, things that you would want to control with your smartphone app. But for the rest of the consumers, this is kind of an added benefit. We had talked about that we have that standard dual zone automatic temperature control. We just call it automatic temperature control for now. Realistically, it's almost like lead vehicle departure alert, adding value to customers without adding cost. And if you can start the car remotely with that key fob from about 30 meters from your house, that might work for customers without having to have a subscription plan if they choose not to. Or, it might not be the car with all the bells and whistles that they want to control with the smartphone. So for more of our cars, you will be able, from 30 meters approximately, to turn your car on, and it sets it to 72 degrees automatically. And that's kind of the focus on that, is to give customers two options on it, and every customer to have an option, not just the ones that have all the features in their car and need more connectivity with the phone.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thanks, Brian.
I've got another question here. Considering that the K5 seems to be sportier than its predecessor, how much differs the N3 platform compared to the Optima's previous platform?
100% different. I will say that it's all new from the ground up. But in terms of that, like we were saying, it's longer, lower, wider, lighter, improved passive safety, strength and rigidity, hot stamping, all new. So it's a whole new generation above the old platform. It's really, engineering also wants to focus on handling, and being that as a differentiator for our brand moving forward is not to say rough and uncomfortable, but I mean sporty handling. They're trying to improve the kind of handling dynamics of the cars, with Bierman at the helm of R&D and some of those tuning dynamics. That's part of it, and this platform allows for that. Improved steering geometry, improved steering gears, and other pieces, as well as suspension geometry. So it's ultimately stiffer, better able to handle where we want to tune our cars going forward for our brand identity.
Awesome. Thank you.
If I could just jump in, you guys didn't ask a question I was kind of expecting about when it's going to be in the press fleet. And I think it should be there kind of end of the month, early September. And I would just check with your local NAVs organizer and get them. Yeah, there he is right there, David.
I think we should direct that at David.
Yeah, I don't know if David has any news when they're coming, but just connect with David and book yourself into the cars. But it should be within a month.
Yeah, Neil, I would say at the moment we do not have one available in the active press fleet. If you have not gotten a Kia product from us before, please make sure to send me your media press kits so that I can submit those for authorization.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, David. Are there any more questions for Brian?
Yeah, I've got a few. I just have to write the answers in between. That's why it takes me a little bit of time. But if the new K5 and the new Sonata ride on the same platform, what was the reasoning for building the Sonata in Alabama and the K5 in Georgia?
Okay, so ultimately with that, two separate brands completely. While there are engineering things that are shared platforms, everything else is completely separate. Treat them as completely separate brands. Ultimately, everybody refers to us as very, family, and it does roll up to Hyundai Motor Group or HMG globally. But in terms of Hyundai and Kia, separate brands completely, separate design, separate development, separate everything, planning. So Hyundai's plant builds theirs. Kia's plant, West Point, Georgia, builds ours, the award-winning Telluride, the Sorento, and the K5. And that's why, completely separate.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Good question, though. A lot of customers, and might relate it to being the same, but they are separate in all ways. We just share some suppliers, we share some platforms, but everything else, planning, finances, completely separate from there.
Yeah, two siblings sent out to make their own way in the world.
Yeah.
And Brian mentioned the plant, and it'd be great to host all or any of you at KMMG sometime. It is, Carla's been to it. I don't know if any of you have, but it is a fantastic place. Just it's really is been a lot of plants, and it's a good one. And not at all plants do you get a South Korean buffet either. So, and some of the best fried chicken and peach cobbler I've ever had. I could promise you that if you come. Anyway, are there any more questions? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. This was really great. And if you think of anything, just send me an email, and we'll get a reply to you as quickly as possible, or I'll connect you with Brian. And once again, check in with David to book yourself in the press car when they get there to Denver. And otherwise, stay safe and be happy.
Hey everyone, yeah, I'm in a different shirt. This is from a way different day from when I recorded the intro and certainly the meeting. So what do I think of the K5? Well, I find it interesting that Kia is going to a more sports sedan. They're going more of a sports sedan route with the new K5, which is a little bit strange, considering that's kind of what the Stinger, that's what the Stinger was supposed to be for. So, I mean, not that I'm opposed to it. I want more fun cars, so if they're going to make the K5 funner than the old Optima, then do it. Awesome. It's just a little bit strange to me that they kind of seem to be going with everyone else, Toyota and Honda, but that's perhaps why they seem to be going with everyone else and making their sedans more interesting to drive. But again, Toyota and Honda are doing the same thing, so that might be the reason for that. But I can't help but say this. So in the time that I recorded the intro and the K5 meeting, I did a podcast episode about the 2021 Stinger. I just realized, did I? I'm pretty sure I did, and I think I forgot to compile that, so I have that episode I need to upload. But basically, with the 2021 Kia Stinger, they're talking about how they're kind of shifting it. At the very least, the marketing material says, oh, you know, we're leaning into we're delving into the grand touring aspect of the Stinger and this and that, and that's a very weird direction to go, because the problem with the Stinger wasn't that it was a sports sedan. It was actually a really, really good sports sedan. For considering it was Kia's first attempt, it was great. The problem, no one wanted to pay $50,000 for a Kia when they could pay $50,000 for a comparable BMW. That was the problem, not the fact that Kia made a sports sedan, and not the fact that it was bad, because it wasn't. So it's weird to me that they've seemed to, in the marketing material at least, abandon the sports sedan, the idea that it's a sports sedan. So then making the K5 a sports sedan seems contradictory, because if they think the Stinger failed or flopped because it wasn't a good sports sedan, why would you make the K5 a sports sedan? So again, there's a bit of a paradox there, or at the very least, there's something contradictory there. There's a contradiction there in the way that they're handling the two cars that just doesn't make sense. The logical conclusion as to why the marketing material is the way that it is for the Stinger, and then still making the K5 a sports sedan, very puzzling. The looks, I'm not sold on it from all angles, but in the flesh, in the meeting that we saw, whoo! Boy, that looked way better from those few angles. I'm thoroughly impressed, and it's unique. It's unique, and that's the best thing about it. It is nice and unique. And so, getting on to some of the questions here, we had the question of the wireless charger. I'm not going to repeat it, because I do remember that I said, obviously I repeated it, and you'll hear it in the video. So, the current design insert is about 4 inches, so phones that are significantly larger, let's say 7 inches, might be too big for the insert, but we'll see. How does Kia... Oh, the thing doesn't work on OneNote. Okay. How much time does Kia typically spend on making their safety technology? It would seem they didn't spend much time, at the very least, not on the lead vehicle departure alert, because it just utilizes existing technology. So they didn't have to spend a lot of time on that. And then we have the question of, if the K5 and the new Sonata ride on the same platform, why are they built in 2 different assembly plants? And so the short answer is this. Despite the 2 riding on the same platform, the 2 cars are different enough that making them at different assembly plants makes sense. Just how different they are, I'll have to figure out later. Then we have, is a K5 hybrid like the Sonata in the cars for the future? Nope, no hybrids. It might be more likely to see an electric K5 than a hybrid one. Then we have it seems the K5 is sportier than its predecessor, considering the K5 rides on a new entry platform. How much stiffer? Didn't get a straight answer, as you probably will have seen, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say somewhere between 30 and 50%. I'd wager 30% stiffer. I think that's a safe bet. And then that is it. So overall, I think the new K5 is definitely an improvement. It's not... Visually, it's not even a step back, not from all angles, or not from most angles. That would be more grammatically correct with the way I set up that sentence. I like the inside, I like the outside, I like the engines. I think the little 3-cylinder is kind of not enough power to me personally, but the more powerful one, the 295 horsepower, getting with the program, that's good. That's very, very good. It's definitely the better looking of the two. It's definitely better looking than the Sonata, because that Sonata just has the biggest guppy mouth I've ever seen in my life. It's... So, and I know that's very rude. I shouldn't be as blunt, but I'm not pleased. I'm not very keen on the way that the new Sonata looks, but they nailed it with the K5. They nailed it with the K5. I think it's well appointed. I think it'll definitely give the Accord and Camry a big fright, especially the Camry, because even the Camry is already looking old now with the new Accord, well, with the current Accord and with the new K5 and the new Sonata. The Camry already looks old. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope that answered some of your questions. If you have some more, if you have enough, I'll probably try and get in touch with them and get another interview going and answer those questions. So put them down below. And if there's enough of them, again, I'll try and schedule an interview. If you enjoyed, then please like, comment, share, and subscribe, hitting the little notification bell, and then all notifications. That way you're notified every time I upload. I'll see you all